what stands out to me about the history of mental health? Failure of pattern recognition, for sure.
What stands out to me is how historically we have learned about mental health through white male schools of thought, and that has not changed.
What stands out to me about the history of mental health is that it has been a tool to oppress already oppressed people.
So for me, the history of mental health is honestly a pretty dark history.
It's just that we aren't using history to our advantage today at all. We aren't learning. We have a total failure at the institutional, academic, medical, conventional level to acknowledge that context and an individual's well-being are equally or even more important than immediate distress and disturbance and society's well-being.
You know, I think that like a lot of the other oppressive trends in our society, the history of mental health is one where in the past things were pretty terrible, where violence and ignorance ruled the day, and things have slowly changed over time. But I think that, like with all the other justice movements that we are now becoming more aware of, that history of violence and ignorance still play a role in informing decisions and the way that things work.
We know that those who win the wars write the history books, right? So it stands to reason that those with access and power write the medical and psychology books too. And I think we all know who, by and large, those people have been.
White men have used, mental health in name to experiment and exploit already oppressed people.
Whether it's 400 years ago and deciding that someone who's experiencing dissociation or seeing things that aren't there, or even is distressed and can't cope with reality, is possessed and evil and needs an exorcism.
People have been experimented on to come up with new ideas and theories.
Or 60 years ago, in the 1960s, at a height of the fight for Black liberation, when we started overwhelmingly diagnosing and institutionalizing Black men with schizophrenia, when up until then, it had been almost exclusively a white woman's disease.
Here in the West, in our modern day and age, when we should know so much, we still think about these things through the white male mind, body, and frame of reference, which is problematic even for white males.
Or 25 years ago, when I was a kid, when we decided that there was an epidemic of children who were not able to pay attention and not able to succeed in school all of a sudden. So we started handing out ADD and ADHD diagnoses and literal speed to kids like candy. When in reality, the bulk of those diagnoses went to kids who were experiencing poverty, kids who were not white in mostly white classrooms, girls who acted out in class even though it was accepted and expected that boys would act out in class, kids with unstable home lives.
I think that the history of mental health is the history of a justice movement, of one of the most central justice movements in our society.
Or less than 10 years ago, when we were hotly debating whether or not transness was a mental illness that needed to be reversed and cured, or on the other hand, if allowing trans folks to transition was actually the key to their mental well-being. We never blamed the gender binary. We blamed the individual. We never look at white supremacy or the patriarchy or capitalism or religious extremism or colonialism as the problem. We look at the person who is being harmed and oppressed by those things as the problem.
People of color, women, queer people, and by who?
They were mostly privileged cis white men following the wisdom of mostly privileged cis white men who came before them, who were so focused on their own normative experience that they could not see anything beyond that.
The people that already fucking colonize.
And for me, what I'm afraid of is that within the institutions we have today, that's the history that we are doomed to repeat.
And so I think it would be a mistake to believe that the work is finished. It's an ongoing fight.